All right. Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Wednesday, May 20th. Yep. Wednesday, May 20th. 2020. 5/20/20. 20. 5/20/2020. A month after 4/20. I don't know. Hi. How's everyone doing? Glad you're here. If you're here, give me a shout out. Say hi. I would love to know who you are, where you're watching from, and yeah, anything else about you that is interesting. I'd love to know. I wanted to let me pull up this video here. I wanted to share my most recent video that I made, which is this Pettyjohn Rail fuzz. Go check that out on YouTube. Just dropped a link in the chat. Yeah, that Pettyjohn fuzz. Here it is, the Pettyjohn Rail. And this is a really cool fuzz. The way the fuzz is achieved is through slamming the voltage rails with a ton of gain, and then it's just the way those kind of overload and distort, rather than usually with a fuzz you're talking about sort of these old vintage transistors and diodes and things like that can be sort of notoriously fussy when it comes to playing nicely with other pedals and integrating into a pedal board, and just overall just being kind of cranky. Fuzz pedals, especially vintage ones, and honestly, modern recreations of vintage ones, the more faithful they are, the more they take on those same sort of fussy characteristics of those old pedals. And if that's your thing, hey, go for it. If you just need that vintage fuzz thing, if that's like your sound, then yeah, probably this isn't the type of fuzz you'll like. But I am not really a fuzz guy. I'm more of a modern, just kind of like pop player, I guess. And yeah, I think what I like is just sort of normal sound. Well, not normal, like just big, aggressive, plays nicely with other pedals, kind of fuzz. And this one's cool because it's got this stepped gain. You can hear it clicking there. Click, click, click. 8 different gain levels. The top gain level is like just bananas. It sounds like a real spitty, but still with a ton of low end gated fuzz thing. Sounds awesome. So check that out if you haven't. It's a quick little 6-minute vid. I'm making my demo videos a little differently now. Less talking, no talking, actually. It saves me on the setup, and it saves me having to talk, and I just demonstrate the pedal. That's what everybody wants to see anyway, is just what does this thing sound like. That's why they go look for demos. They don't really care about your opinion. Maybe they do, but probably they don't. So anyway, yeah, so go check that out if you haven't, and leave a comment there. But today, here we are. We're in the studio again. I was gone yesterday because I was making that video. I was like, it's just not something that's like useful to broadcast. I try to like broadcast my work day, no matter if it's boring or fun. But when I'm making a video, I'm just basically like down here working. I'm just like this, hunched over, like a poor old hunchback. Anyway, yeah. So, but we're back today. Here we are. We're back with, guess who? My buddy Jesse, and we're working on his record. We got a fun song called Good Old Days today, and I just wanted to take a look at it, but I think we're basically like ready to mix this one. Let me just double check I got some notes here, some production notes. Jesse B production list. Good Old Days says mix ready, so there's nothing, as far as I know, as far as I remember, that we're still doing on this one. By the way, gonna do the wrist check. Since I got my focus here, I just want to all set up. I want to show you guys things close up. Okay, let me see if I can do this. I'm gonna go real close, then hit focus. So this is my 1972 Seiko speed timer. This watch is older than me, and I really like it. It was like my #1 watch for a while before that Baltic. Lately, that Baltic has kind of been, getting a lot of wrist time. For those of you who don't know, I'm kind of into watches. I am selling a few as well because they just don't get worn. But I love watches. I feel like a lot of engineers, or sometimes you get like people who are technically minded, are kind of into watches. Because it is kind of crazy when you look in the back of one of those things at all the stuff that's going on. It's like insane. And so you have to appreciate the complexity of the engineering. Let me just show you something. So this is that Baltic that I just mentioned, and this is like probably more fashionable than the one I just showed you. But the one I just showed you is kind of more classic, and obviously it's actually from the 70s, whereas this is a modern watch. But this is sort of like a throwback 40s kind of design with this bi-compax dual sub-register there, and that's really like cute and pretty. But look at the back of this thing. So this is a display case back. It shows you the movement of the watch. Let me see if I can get the light to catch it right. Oops. Yeah, there we go. Let me see if I can get closer. Can I get closer? So that, look at the inside of this thing. Isn't that crazy what's going on there? It's this, and if you look at it, it's all moving in there. This is a manual wind chronograph, so that means it doesn't, you have to wind it. Whereas I have a lot of automatics as well, which wind themselves. Are still no battery, but they wind themselves. Some of them can only, like this one, can only wind itself. It doesn't also manually wind. But anyway, it's just a whole other part of my Nerd Alert life. You tuned in today and you were like, Aaron, I didn't ask about watches. I don't care about watches. Sorry. Just what's on my mind, my scatterbrained little mind, trying to get focused here today. We've got some tea, just had lunch. We're ready. So this song is a fun sort of throwback, a little bit of Peter Gabriel in there, Salisbury Hill, as far as like a little different time signature on this one. We got a 7/4 that goes to a 4/4. Back and forth between 7/4 and 4/4, which is kind of fun. Then it's got like a little Mumford sort of vibe to it with this steady kick drum. So it's kind of a Mumford modern-ish take on like that Peter Gabriel kind of thing, with a little Jesse thrown in, which is like more down-home kind of rootsy Americana blues rock and roll type of song. So that's what we're dealing with today. And looks like I tuned the vocal. All the backgrounds are there. We've got some guitars, we got some drums, we got some bass, we got some synths, and we're ready to go. So let's do it. You guys ready? Let's do this. We're gonna mix this song. So here's my Pro Tools session. And as you can see, I haven't really set this up yet for the mix, so we'll get to do that, which is fun. As far as my color coding and my bringing in my subgroup tracks and things like that. So I'm just going to do that. And as I do that, if you're there, if you got any questions, if you want to interrupt me, I'll just be casually glancing down to this computer down here to see if I have any friends. And if you're there, let me know. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you have any questions on what the frick I'm doing. But I'm going to get started here. Here we go. So I'm going to color code these drums first. I like to make those a nice dark blue. You can set your default color coding in Pro Tools to default to groups. Actually, let's see if this is worth doing here. If I go to groups right here, and then I hit OK, it's actually going to color code. Yes. So it's color coding, and let me look one more time. Clip color coding. So I did track color coding, and then clip color coding will do groups as well. If I hit OK, it's actually going to automatically color code all this stuff. And then the things that are not in groups, it's going to, it just makes it black or just with no color. That's sort of like a cheat way to get basically what I want. But I'm always disabling and enabling groups. And if you look, if I disable the groups by pressing Shift Command G, now I manually color coded these so they stay the same color, but everything else that's not in a group just goes to this black and white. So we're going to do it the normal way, and that's fine. We're just going to go tracks and MIDI channels, blammo. So, you know, we got this typical looking sort of multicolored session, and we're just going to go through. We did our drums. Now let's do we did our drum regions. Now we're going to do our drum tracks. All right, and now let's do this percussion. A little different shade of blue. And now the regions of this percussion, a little different shade of blue. My bass, I usually make green, which it's already green, so great. I'm gonna be super anal though and make it a darker green. It's just the kind of guy I am. Okay, acoustics. I like to make like a faint pale red. And tracks. And then all the electrics, which there's several on this song, which is going to be fun. I make the dark red. And then we're going to grab all those regions, make them that same dark red. All my keys I like to make purple. So here's my keys. And again, if you're new here, the reason I do this is now just looking at the session, I can just see at a glance, you know, really quickly. Here's drums, percussion, you know, bass, acoustic guitars, electric guitars, keys. My vocal, I like to make this bright teal color because then I can pick it out really easily. It also makes it look like that's the real important one, which it is. I have a vocoder in here, but I'm just going to include that with the background vocals because that's kind of the vibe of the vocoder. A vocoder is technically a synth that's being triggered by a vocal sound, but the way I'm using it, it's in my headspace. It's a vocal. It's like sort of part of the background vocal like bunch. So I'm gonna color code it the same way I color code background vocals and kind of treat it the same. I'll probably send it out, actually the background vocal bus too. I don't have it going out there now, but that's fine. And there we go. So if I hit play on this,
I don't wanna keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are
this one's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. So now I'm going to import session data from another mix. Now, once I'm this far into the project, I'm half to 3/4 of the way through mixing. Just to get to sort of do a little shortcut, to save time, to use my time the best, I try to think of what song is the most similar to this. So what song will have the most similar, like, drum sounds and vocal sound. The vocal sound on this record is staying mostly the same song to song. The drum sound is changing a little bit song to song. But when I think of this one, and I think of like, I'll probably either grab it from Not From Here, which ended up sounding really good, or maybe The Last Great Summer, actually. That one had like sort of a similar beat, like toms, and I like the way, I just like the way that one turned out. So I think I'm gonna grab it from that song. So let's do that. We're gonna go up here, and I highlighted Kick In because that's the track that when you import session data, whatever track you have highlighted, it goes under that track, and that's just where we want it to go for now. Obviously, you can move things around as much as you want. But here we go, import session data, and we're gonna go to Jesse's folder here, and The Last Great Summer. We're gonna grab it from this Mix 1 session, and then I'm gonna hit Match Tracks. And when you do this, you gotta watch out because it never does it right, but it saves a little bit of time. So what that does is tracks that are the same name, it goes, oh, you want me to put this track on that track. Now, very important, you want to hit Do Not Import with this main playlist options, and then you also want to go in here and deselect clips and media just to make sure that it doesn't import that, but we're going to import everything else. So here we go. We don't need that, and we're just going to go through here and look and see what we want to grab and what we don't want to grab. Piano edit. Do I want that piano? No, we don't want that. These are the individual like string tracks and stuff. So here's kind of where we're starting. The kick in is going to go to the kick in. That's correct. So you're just like looking at this side and you're matching it to this side, and then you're grabbing the ones that you want as new tracks, such as the kick and snare sample, and bringing those in. We don't want that verb snare. That's like a MIDI virtual instrument. Blah, blah, blah. Lo-fi. Yeah, there's no lo-fi on this track. And just selecting what we want. I'm not going to do the percussion. I'm going to do that separately. Here's my drum subgroup here. That's fine for now. Bass goes to bass. These bass auxes are going to be new tracks. Acoustics, I don't want to mess with those. Guitars, I don't really mess with those either. The piano, sure, I will bring in that, as well as the Hammond. This Hammond was from Bear Creek. Piano was from Abbey Road. Here's my keys aux. No strings in this song, so we don't need that. Here's the vocal. We don't need any of this. I will bring in this half note delay as a new track. Don't need the tuner tracks, don't need the talkback. And then it's basically background vocals. We will bring in the bus and the master. So that's the background vocal bus, and then the verb delay chorus, that's fine, and then the master, just the first master, and that's fine. Okay, so that's a lot of stuff. We're gonna hit OK. Okay. Somehow I went away there. I must have accidentally selected one of the talkback tracks, and then it disabled me. And yeah, so anyway, but there I am. And here we are. So here's all of our stuff here. So first order of business, we're gonna kill all this automation by, I'm gonna select my all group here, and I'm gonna select all my tracks. Okay, my all group, why doesn't it do what I want it to do? Because it's not actually selected. And I wanna go all the way to the end of my session, like that. And then I go edit, cut special, and all automation. And then I'm gonna double check down here at the very end. Just make sure there's no automation points. And there is one on the click there, as you can see. Let's delete that. That's like a little bug that you just have to account for. And this doesn't work perfectly all the time. Sometimes like little stragglers stuff stays in there on automation. I don't know why. Pro Tools is like a big program, and there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. And in general, I think it's great, but it does have its little buggy things. In general, I think it works great, and I got no complaints, though. So I'm going to copy this kick down to this kick sample, and then I'm going to grab all my tracks, and this is kind of how I do it. So this is all the stuff I just imported here, all the new stuff, basically. And I'm just going to drag it down sort of one by one by one. And then we'll copy our snare down to our 2 new snare tracks, deselect those, and then grab the group, bring it down to below our because all of our drums and percussion go through our drum subgroups. Unhighlight those, and then bring them down. Unhighlight the bass, then bring the keys down. Oh, we forgot the guitars subgroup. You grab that, and then bring the half note delay below the vocal. Okay. So let's go back. We're gonna go right after the guitars here and go find that, oops. Go find our guitar subgroup here. Import session data one more time. Same one, and then go find the guitars. Here we go. So this guitar delay, this shimmer, the guitar subgroup, and the guitar room. Grab all those. And now we are good. We are good to go. So now let's do a little assigning here. I'm gonna do some assignments. So fun. So we're gonna grab all of our, okay, why did it make these all different colors here? Why is this? It's all different colors. I already changed my colors. Don't change my colors again. You know why it did that? It's because it imported the colors from the other session, and that session apparently I didn't have the colors correct. So okay, note to self, best practices: import all your stuff, then do your color changes after, because actually you might save some time because you might import color changes that are correct. Okay, again, nerd alert. Anything that's an aux track, I do no color, which just makes it black. There we go. Now we're good. Now I'm going to do this from here, actually, because it's a little easier to see. So I'm going to select all my drums and percussion and send these all out by pressing Shift Option. The bus 3132, which is my drum bus. Okay. And then go down here to the bass. Bass is going to the right bus, which is bus 15. Then I'm going to grab all my guitars, put them all out bus 25, 26, which is the guitars. All the keys here, send them out 27, 28, which they are, except for the Prophet there. Lead vocal goes out its own, just 1 and 2, and then all of these backgrounds, except this more photo, we'll just leave it going out 1 and 2 for now. That's fine. Looks like it's got a little, actually, you know what? I am going to put it out. Bus 31 and 32. No, that's not right. 23, 24. That's my background vocal bus. I always use the same buses. I don't know why. There's no reason, except that that's just what I'm used to. And when I import session data, I know that bus 23, 24 is my background vocal bus, and that's just where things should be. I know from listening to like you know, big mix people, that's the way they do it in terms of things stay the same. You know, this is my blue, my 1176 blue stripe compressor, and it just stays on that setting, and that's just where it is. And on the console, like Chris Lord-Alge and guys like that, this is where I have my backgrounds. This is where I have my guitars. That never changes. So that just allows them, you know, the ability to work fast. And they're not searching all over for things. So that's what I like to do. Standards, you know, when it comes to, obviously you can break your own rules and, you know, do whatever you want once you got your session up. But if I had an assistant, this is what they would do. When I opened up a mix session, it would already look like this, basically. You know, everything nicely topped and tailed as far as the regions, you know. They're only on when, and actually they would go through and edit my toms for me too. Maybe one day. Maybe my friend Christina could be my assistant one day. That would be fun. So, yes, we're all ready here now. Now let me go and unassign all of these. Actually, let me do it this way. I'm gonna do it the same way I just did. Well, no, change my mind. I want to basically, I want you to hear all the right things, all the things I'm hearing. We're gonna get rid of send here, and then we're just gonna look at this 5 and 6. So 5 and 6 is what's being sent to you, which you can see. You see this meter moving. This is your master. So if I bring this down, you'll stop hearing me, and then if I bring it back up, you'll hear me louder. And everything that's going to this 5 and 6. So when I'm doing a mix session, I have to make sure that just my subgroups and then the things that are going to analog 1 and 2 are going to you on a post fader send, if that makes sense. So this is all my backgrounds, so that's fine. The lead vocal is 43, 44. What is that? We don't need these. That looks good. So this is, and there's me. There's my little talkback going there. That's why you can hear me. And then these keys, we can take all those out of the direct send to you because they are all going to this keys bus, so we don't want to double send them. Let me know if you have questions about this. This is tricky stuff here. Confuses even me. Sometimes it's not actually that confusing. So we're gonna go here, go grab all these guitars, take them out of send. There's our bass aux. Just want the auxes. Basically, we just want auxes to go to sends. Nothing else. So we'll grab all our drums. No send. There. Okay. So now the drums are going to the drum subgroup. So these are just these are subgrouped, right? So they're going to here, and then you're hearing that, right? And then same thing with the bass. The bass is going here. You're hearing the subgroup of the bass. The guitars, all these guitars are going here to these guitar subgroups. You're hearing those subgroups. The keys going here. You're hearing that. My voice directly. The lead vocal directly. The background vocals all going to this background vocal bus. You're hearing that, and then you're hearing the effects as well. So we're good there. So you're hearing what I'm hearing now. So now, next step is to mute all of the buses that I don't need while I'm not using them. So I go through and just mute everything. Bass. Yeah, and we're going to start with the drums. So I like to start like a chorus 2 type of area and just hit go Let's see what happens here. Okay, my solo mode was not correct here. Options, solo mode. We want latch so that I can hit a solo and then hit the next one, and the other one stays on. So this is my kick-in microphone. Here's my sample. Cool. Kick out. I'm gonna, you can't see because I'm over here, but I'm gonna deselect my drum group. And then let's just, yeah, P1 kit, there we go. Okay, that's good. There, now my kicks, yeah, my kick subgroup is there. Let's go to the part with the snare. Let me just make a little loop of this thing here. From there to there. Hey, why you no loop? Because loop wasn't on, that's fine. I like that. That's not a tambourine. I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna call it desk because it sounds like I'm hitting my desk. I want the drums to sound kind of wild on this song, so I want to ride that balance between punchy and big and like gutsy, but I also want them to be a little bit more raw, like kind of like a nice mid range, and that's what I'm getting right now from that snare is real nice. So. So with the bass here, this is the actual audio track here, and then I have, actually I don't have really a limiter on here, but depending on how high I have this, that feeds more into this fuzz here, into the input of this overdrive-y kind of thing, this Sans amp. And so if I want to have more grit, you know, I'll turn this fader up because that feeds the input, right? And then I'll mess with the blend here overall between the bass aux, which is just the kind of clean, and then the fuzz. So on this one, since it's a little more aggressive song, I want to have this fader, which is the audio track, up a little hotter, feeding the input to that fuzz. And also, by the way, I want to go over here and turn on this heat here because that will drastically change everything. How's it going, Drees? Shakira. In my dreams, right? I mean, that would be amazing. I can totally hear. Yeah, like let's just go in this chorus and let's just think about Shakira here for a sec. Here we go. I mean, it does have a little like Latin flair to it, doesn't it? Hey, nothing wrong with that. Also, yeah, hey, how's it going? Good to see you here. I've got some secret chicken nuggets over here that I'm eating. How's it going, Jordan? Jordan asked, live drums or plug-in? Live! Live, baby. Live, live, live. Real drums, ladies and gentlemen. The real thing. Ain't nothing like the real thing. Here's the kick in. Here's the kick out. Here's the snare top. Here's the other snare mic. I don't have that up very hot. Here's the snare bottom. Overheads. Rooms. Yep. Let me show you a picture of me playing these drums. Since I got my focus, well, actually, I can't do this while I focus. Anyway, you can see a far away picture. Oh, sorry, that camera just went away because I was messing with my phone doing something, and then it's back now. But yeah, it's not going to focus unless I manually focus it. Let me see if I can do that. So right here, I'm just gonna manually focus here. Okay, can we do it? Can we do it? We're too close. There we go, that's pretty good. That's me in Abbey Road, Abbey Road, Studio 3, playing those drums. So, pretty cool experience. That's the Abbey Road one. Okay, now let me get back to here so I can focus again. Let's see if I messed this up or not. Without it. Okay, we're back. We're back. We're all focused. We're feeling nice. Here we go. Main camera. Camera A. So yeah, that was the Abbey Road session. Same song, same artist, same song. Many songs, same artist. And then I added all this percussion stuff once I got back home, which was kind of fun. And I think it actually adds a lot. You know, if you just listen to the kit by itself. Let's go to just the kit here. No shaker. That's cool, but this is cooler. And this song kind of has a structure where it's like the first chorus is one thing, and it's a little more open. I play a different beat, and then I bring in the snare, and then all of that percussion stuff comes in just on the second halves of the choruses, which I really like. It just makes it like, because each chorus is kind of like a double chorus. And so that's a fun way to differentiate those two. I like that model in general, that where every chorus is a double chorus. A lot of pop songs have that as a model, where they don't even change that much. Like a lot of like Katy Perry songs, a lot of Carly Rae Jepsen. These are like, I love the pop princesses. Absolutely, like they're my gods. They're my goddesses. I worship them. No, but they so like Teenage Dream. Katy Perry. You make me feel like I'm living a teenage dream. Will you turn me on? Never look back. No one ever look back. My heart stops when you look at me. So it's like, and the only thing really that, if you listen to that production, they'll just bring in like a 16th hat, you know, on that second half of the chorus. But I think psychologically that does something in your brain where you're like, I've heard this before because I just heard it. I heard a chorus and now I know it. And then upping the ante with something like another rhythmic element, I think triggers your brain into like, ooh, I want to like clap along. I want to dance to this song or whatever. And it's almost like a cheat code to get somebody to like your song. It's like if you got a catchy chorus, play it once and then before you even go back to a verse, just play it again, even if it's just the same. Even if you just add a little extra hi-hat or something like that. And if you listen to popular music, that's all over the place. That kind of, I don't know if there's like a name for that. It's just a double chorus. Every chorus is a double chorus, kind of thing. But anyway, so that's the vibe on this one. Intentionally, we kind of went for that sort of thing. So, yeah, so our drums and our bass are sounding cool. That might be a little grindy on the bass. While I'm here, I noticed that there were some things in some of my groups that shouldn't be in there. The shaker should not be in the drum group. And let me just look at this percussion. New perk. Oh, that's fine. So this, it's still somehow in a drum group. Hang on. Is it because I didn't press OK? Drums. Yeah, the shaker's in there. Remove. Okay. There we go. Good. Okay. So let's start listening to these guitars. So the way I'll do this is I will unmute my guitars in my guitar room, and then I'm just going to mute all my guitar tracks and unmute them one at a time. Here we go. We got our two kind of main acoustics here. The acoustics are playing a bigger role on this song because of that kind of Mumfordy thing. What? We don't want... What's happening here? We don't want a gate. No gates. No gates ever for me. Why is there a gate? Okay, here we go. Let's put a little space around those. So I'm going to send those to bus 13 and 14, which is my guitar room, which is just a kind of a room reverb. So that's not bad. I'm just gonna unmute some of these ambient guitars here. Okay, what did we just hear? I know exactly what we just heard. You remember when I said that I was going to cut all automation? Well, it didn't work. Is that because, did I do that? I think I did that before I brought in this guitar bus here. So it's this thing. Yeah, now we're good. No, it's not going to do that. That's silly. Never mind. hey, it feels strong. It feels like it feels so good. It's just like it's a good feeling to track something and then come to mix and it's like, oh wow, it's just there. It's all there. The parts, the way it was recorded, you know, the auxes from the other mix, like it's just like feeling good. Thank you, Jim. Jim says sounds huge. I agree. I think it sounds huge. And with not that many instruments, and we got Alec in there doing his like beautiful sort of like whistly slide, almost pedal steel like emulation kind of thing. And then we got Alec in the chorus too, doing these sort of like single note things. Hey, why not? It's working. It's working for us. Now, the only just listening back to it, then it almost sounded too good in the sense that there's not really any room. There's no there. We will have to start just scaling things back, just a little bit. The harmonic content, so guitars, keys, things like that, to make room for the vocals and the background vocals. So it's like all of that's there, and that's huge, and that's great. And if this were an instrumental song, we'd be like off to the races right now. But we got to make room. We got to make room in the sonically. We have to make room. So yeah, we're gonna do that because we still have. You know, we've basically mixed up to like this point right here, right? We've got you know, drums, percussion, bass, guitars, and keys, but we still have the lead vocal and we have all these background vocals, which is quite a few, which are really fun, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great to mix these, but there's just a lot of them. Who knows? Maybe if we just turn those on, it'll sound freaking great. Those background vocals kind of go along with this synth. I sort of tracked them both at the same time, and they're both kind of doing a similar thing. Wait. So that's where we're a little bit more on the nose with the with sort of the 80s thing, the Peter Gabriel thing. We were Mumford & Sons up to that point, and then we threw it way back. You know, all those influences that are there, and it's fun. It's fun to mix to mix stuff. You know, I like working on a record, and it's hard to point to like stylistically what you'd call it. You know, except just like fun, you know, music, you know, or whatever. So. Yeah. just go for it. Let's hear this vocal here.
I don't want to keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I've been a fool. I've been chasing wind. I've been all consumed with what's around the bend. I've been so blind when I'm moving mud and my shovel's dull from all the gold I've struck. I don't wanna keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we'd want to change, but in the end it's all been worth it, 'cause we're here in our good old days. I'm trying to find. I don't wanna keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we'd want to change, but in the end it's all been worth it, 'cause we're here in our good old days. I'm trying to find from all the gold I've struck. I don't wanna keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we'd want to change, but in the end it's all been worth it, 'cause we're here in our good old days. I'm trying to find.
Okay, I think I'm gonna send. Maybe not.
I know it's been far from perfect.
Yeah, I am going to. So by default, all of my backgrounds are going out this background vocal bus, which has sort of a heavy, it's like heavily affected. If I solo just one of them.
I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we'd want to change, but in the end.
So there's like a doubler on there. There's a lot of reverb and some delay and stuff. I want this background vocal. I'm gonna send this out actually just 1 and 2 here, and I'll have to send it to you then. Post fader send. And I'm just gonna treat this more like I want to give it by itself its own little treatment, so that it doesn't get lost in the swimming mass of all the background vocals, because I want it to exist more as it's not a solo-y background vocal, but just as I just want to place it a little bit more. A little less reverb on it, a little more like EQ. Since it's a low harmony, I want to take out like a few, like a little bit more of the low mids, and then just sort of focus it a little bit. And then I'll still give it a healthy amount of reverb and things like that. I'm just going to copy these over from the lead vocal for now. But yeah, I'll be able to control it a little bit more now.
I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we'd want to change, but in the end it's all been worth it, 'cause we're here in our good old days. I'm trying to find. I know it's been far from perfect, and there are things we'd want to change, but in the end it's all been worth it, 'cause we're here in our good.
I think I didn't sing the right words there.
But in the end it's all been worth it. But in the end, it's all been. But in the end, it's all been worth it. Cause we're here in our good old days. I'm trying to.
Okay, I want to take out a little more of that like 300-ish area on the low end.
I know it's been far from perfect, and there are things we'd want to change. But in the end, it's all been worth it. Cause we're here in our good old days. I'm trying.
Let's hear how that sounds.
We are living right now in our good old days. I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we'd want to change. But in the end, it's all been worth it. Cause we're here in our good old days. I'm trying to find.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, you know, you sculpt it, you know, and whatever, and then by the time you get it in the mix, it's so subtle and slight, but it does make a difference. You might go, no one's going to hear that, but they are going to hear it. They're going to hear the feeling of it, right? They're not going to be able to pick it out and go, oh, you turned down 300 on that background vocal and made it sound more. But what they will feel is a lift when they get to that point in the song. They'll feel a harmonic complexity come in. They might not even be able to pick out that, hey, that's a low harmony that came in right there or whatever. But the point still, the feeling coming across, that's the point of all of this, is that the feeling comes across to your average listener. So that's what we're doing.
I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we'd want to change. But in the end, it's all been worth it. Cause we're here in our good old days. I'm trying to find where all the grass is green. But every time I'm close, it's only painted weeds. As it turns out, don't have to try to track every lightning strike when heaven's in our laps. I don't wanna keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we'd want to change. In the end, it's all been worth it. 'Cause we're here in our good old days. Want to keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we want to change, but in the end, it's all been worth it. 'Cause we're here in our good old days. We're here in our good old days. We're here in our good old days.
Man, I tell you what. So this is something to learn. Okay, when it got to that, I had two thoughts go through my brain. When it got to that bridge section, which for a while was a struggle. We were like, oh, what are we gonna do there on those la 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 section? But then we just overdid it. We just like put the kitchen sink on it, or I did. You know, here one day, just put all of these backgrounds here, la da 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 la da 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 da, and along with that synth there, and like two different vocoders. When I got to that section though, I had this visceral reaction of like, yes, and then immediately in my brain, you know, it's like the what Jack Joseph Puig talks about, the being able to switch between your instinct and your intellect. Instinct, intellect. And they're both needed. And so my instinct right there was like, yeah. And then instantly my intellect went, that's too much. That's too much. Like, yeah, that's great, but you need to turn it down. But then I was just sort of processing, and this was all like fun, in my brain, like, well, maybe it's great. Maybe it's great that it's too much. So you have to have a healthy relationship. A lot of times we have a tumultuous relationship between our instinct and our intellect, our heart and our head, is another way of saying that, where your gut is just like, yeah, that's awesome. But then you're like, no, it's probably too much. It's going to be distracting for, whatever. They work together, right? One compromises for the other, sort of a thing. I don't know what decision I'll end up making, but it's almost like you want to root for that gut feeling. Anytime you listen to a song and you're throwing your hands up in the air, try to stick with that, man. You know what I mean? Like, if it sounds good, it is good. That's the whole philosophy. If it sounds good, it is good. And a lot of times your brain can kind of get in the way where you end up just half-assing kind of everything. And it's like, oh yeah, the last thing you want is to listen to a mix and go, yeah, that was balanced really well. It's like, who cares? Who cares if it was balanced? Who cares if it's correct or if it's, all of that stuff is useful to get you to a feeling. The feeling is the whole point, man. Why are we doing music if it's not, if we're not cutting to the feeling? You know what I mean? So whatever cheats you can get to get there, it's all about that feeling and communicating that feeling of, in the case of this song, just fun. We're here in our good old days, trying to take advantage of the moment that we're in right now, right? And going, yeah, this is the good old days right now. This is it. And if you can get that feeling across by slamming your mix with a ton of background vocals, then great. Then do that. There's no one telling you can't do it. I'm preaching to the choir here. I'm preaching to myself. But it's an important thing to realize when you're mixing something, because when you're doing all this technical stuff, you can just get up here like real quick, and you should have some kind of practice to remain like grounded in your gut, in your heart, in your instinct, where you're making decisions for fun, not out of fear or out of like rules. I got to do this, I got to do that. But where it's just, yeah, it's just fun. It's just, I did that because I thought it sounded freaking great. The end. That's the point of music. Fun, the feeling, right? So anyway, that's what I like to chase. I like to chase those moments. Now, in everything, moderation, right? Just because I threw my hands up in the studio doesn't mean that mix decision is necessarily going to translate to the outside world, right? That's the other side of the coin. You want them throwing their hands up, right? I want you on YouTube to throw your hands up on that bridge. So it's like, hey, you tell me, you know what I mean? Was that cool? And, yeah, it's all about just making decisions in the moment and going, yeah, I think I'm going to have this freaking loud background vocals right there. It's going to be great. And then getting a response back from the artist, getting a response back from the general public. Now, yeah, by the time you get it to the general public, I think it is what it's going to be. I don't like to focus group, mixes and go, what does the average person on the street think, that we should do? There is a sense in which, like, you're the artist, you're the one doing the thing, so you make the decision. And then you give it to them. They might like it, they might not. That's okay. But yeah, it's like it's constant decision making when if you don't like making decisions, you'll have a tough time being a musician and an artist, especially in a technical kind of realm, because I'm just all day long I'm making decisions. This, not that. This louder, this softer. This over here, this over here. This reverby, this dry. kick drum comes up here, comes down here. Here's where the song starts. Here's where it ends. Here's what I'm accentuating. No, I don't like that word. I like this word. It's just thousands of decisions in a day, and even in every moment, you're just making a bunch of decisions. And yeah, that just comes from like years of doing it, and you know, setting your session up in a certain way to kind of give yourself the best chance of success in making those decisions, so that when you're making the decisions, it's fun and it's not kind of arduous. I've had those sessions too, where I'm like, ugh, is this even good? You know, not necessarily just because of the material, but just because I'm in my own head about it. I'm like, I don't know, this is, you know, or whatever. And I'm working on it all day, and I'm like, just like getting like hot in here with all this gear. And yeah, sometimes you got to take a step away. But you know, that's why I like living with an album from the beginning to the very end, because all of the decisions you made long before are in your favor now. Now I don't have to work very hard at all. I've only been working, you know, barely an hour on this, and it's like almost there. And that's, again, that's based on all of the other mixes I've done on this record, and before that, all of the other mixes I've done in my life. So you might be able to get to a good point quickly, but it's because I prepared myself for. I've got Pro Tools going here. I've got that Heat plugin on the master bus that's just squishing things together nicely. I've got some other master bus plugins. I've got my guitar group, my keys group, my, you know, that where things are getting out of the way of each other. So it's not accidentally coming together. There's a purpose behind all of this. When it comes together quickly, it's like, hey, great, don't fight it. It's sounding good. So, all that to say, let's move on. We're at a great spot. I was already doing a little bit of automation on the lead vocal. On this one, he sings real low in the verses, and so I kind of have to pump him up a little bit in the verses. And then on every chorus, there's two doubles. There's a double of him and a double that I sang as far as the melody. So he doesn't need to be as directly loud as far as his main track there, because he's flanked by those doubles, and so his voice gets kind of bigger, and there's other people there, which I like. I like that feeling of, it's not a gang vocal, but it's just that double feel. It just makes him sound just lifted and bigger. And I'll fine tune these. You know, and I think the la-las were like a little bit soft too, so I'm just gonna preemptively bring those up a little bit. Now that they were probably soft because there's a million other ones here that were just going for it. I need to also fine tune these vocoders. So I have two, because when I was working on this song, I had just gotten this, which is the new Vocal Synth Isotope plugin, which sounds great. But I now have two there, and I'm not sure if I need both of them. Having said that, it did sound great. Don't mute something when it sounds great, you know. So I'm gonna probably stick with that, but I'll probably fine tune the levels between the two of them, and then yeah. But for now, let's go back up here. Let's go to our toms here, and let's do our little toms edit here. Okay, we can do it. We can do our little toms edit, our little gating on our toms here. And while I do this is just like brain rest for me. Let me know if you've got any questions while I edit these toms, and you can just watch me edit while you think of any questions you have or whatever. So the floor tom here, I'm gonna leave. Yeah, that's just kick drum.
Oh.
So I'm constant on the floor tom here. I'm dun 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 dun. So So that's good and bad. It's good because I don't have to edit it, except to do that. That's like, okay, done. Tom is edited for the chorus. But that does mean that there's a constant rumble coming from that tom, which is fine. We've got room for that. We're okay. But on the rack tom here, we're going to get more surgical here. I'm just zooming in and grabbing just what I need from the rack tom. It's not as important on this song because of the kind of beat I'm playing. The things that get in the way of toms that make them really interfere with a mix is when the snare gets in the tom mic, because it may be a little bit out of phase, or it might just have kind of a woofy sort of sound. But cleaning up your toms can really help your snare sound and kick sound too. That's not right. That's fine. Fine for now. We're here in our good old days. Oh yeah, here's where our snare comes in. And a little busier on the toms here too, looks like. There's an interesting little marker here called fix snare. Yeah. I think I already fixed it. It does sound a little quieter, doesn't it? That snare. Maybe we grab this snare and we put it on that one. That is a prime example of something you want to have right in the right spot, where it's like it's fun, to listen to, but it's not. It doesn't it doesn't go right in your face. It's just a fun backgroundy thing. You want to be able to hear it, but you also don't want you don't want it to be the main focal point. I think we do, like, again, even your common listener, non-musical person, hears and perceives way more in music than I think we give them credit for. Again, they might not know why they feel a certain way, why, hearing something makes them do a certain thing or feel a certain thing, or get turned off to it. They might not know why. They might just go, I don't like that song. But really, maybe the technical reason is, it's not mixed well, or there's like a lot of woofiness in the snare, or they don't like whatever. And as a technical person, it's your job to know that, to be able to translate. I as a producer, I often will say that I'm a translator for artists. An artist will be like, I just want it to feel like this. And I translate that into technical language. Okay, so you want, here's the way we achieve that through these technical means. And it's not only technical, it's creative too. It's getting a certain maybe vocal performance out of somebody because they want it to feel sad. So what is sad? What does sad mean? Maybe it's a break in their voice. Maybe, when we become emotional, our voices get shaky and crack and things like that. So maybe we want to bring that out. So maybe you record the vocalist when they're extra tired, late at night or something like that, or after they've smoked several cigarettes or something, or just after, if they're particularly feeling, really feeling the song. I'll often do that with an artist where yeah, like if they come over and it's like vocal day or whatever, it's like, oh, how are you feeling today? What vibe are you feeling? It's like if they're feeling up, and chipper, we might do a song like this, talking about our good old days. But if they're feeling introspective, you want to do a song like that. You want to work with kind of what the artist is feeling, and so that's a big part of it. Okay, I think we're done now, because at the end I go to the hat instead. There's another fixed snare. I better do that across the whole. Yeah, let me do this a little more best practices here. So this snare, basically, like, I just didn't hit these as hard as I should. That one's good. So let's grab this one, but we're gonna grab not just the snare top, but we're gonna grab everything right there. Boom. And then this is important. First of all, we're gonna put it right here where this snare is. Blap. But then we're gonna pull out this tom to where the natural decay of this tom here, because we don't necessarily want that. And then we're also going to that's okay, we'll be able to fix this tom in a sec. Gonna do a little crossfade there. Actually, the tom fixed itself, that's fine. So now fixed. So I can delete that marker now, which is, you just grab it and drag it up into oblivion, and it turns into a trash can. And then I got another one here, fixed snare. So let's grab this one, which sounds great. Just that much. Blap. And the reason we're grabbing all the tracks is because I hit a kick drum there too. I hit a lot of things right there on that one hit. And then let's oops. Pull this. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Pull this back just a hair. Do a little crossfade there. And a little crossfade there. And then we're going to pull this tom out so that that decay is natural decay. That's fine. And then just listen. Sounds great. Got our snares fixed. Feeling good. Got our toms edited. Feeling good about that too. Okay. Now I'm just gonna hit play, and I'm gonna turn my volume down, and just mess with some stuff. Mess with some fine tuning. Fine tuning at this point. Fine tuning some levels.
I don't want to keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now, missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living along the way.
Just automating up these real soft. He goes just real low there. Little things along the way. If it's at the bottom of your range, you're going to have a hard time projecting a lot of volume there. So the volume kind of went away.
Little things along the way. I'm convinced along the way.
And there's a balance when you're doing the automation between being able to hear it and it sounding natural. Because his voice goes almost to a whisper there, our brains expect it to be softer. So if it's the same volume, it might be a little strange sounding. So it's a balance there.
Little things along the way.
That sounds good.
I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days.
Last line just up a little bit, and then up a little more toward the end.
Right now in our good old days. I've been living right now in our good old days. I've been a fool. I've been chasing wind. I've been all consumed with what's around the bend. I've been so blind when I'm moving mud and my shovel's dull from all the gold I've struck. I don't wanna keep on missing little things along the way. I don't wanna keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we'd want to change, but in the end it's all been worth it, 'cause we're here in our good old days. I'm trying to find where all the grass is green, but every time I'm close, it's only painted weeds. As it turns out, you don't have to try to track every lightning strike when heaven's in our laps. You don't have to try to track.
Okay, right there, I'm gonna use this half note delay. I may use it before this, but that was the first time it occurred to me to use it, so let's do it here.
Every lightning strike.
So we're gonna go to bus 4344, which is what's going to the actually.
Don't have to try to track every lightning strike.
I want it maybe on the trailing end of this.
Don't have to try to track. Try to track.
Sort of
Try
like
to
the idea
track.
of it being just on that line. Try to track. I've just got it muted here up until it comes in, because it makes noise. It's kind of a silly. That's maybe a little silly, but why does it make noise? But that's fine.
Don't have to try to track every lightning strike. Don't have to try to track every lightning strike. Don't have to try to track every lightning strike.
Just a little less level. And then I want that one in there too.
Don't have to try to track every lightning strike when heaven's in our laps. I don't wanna keep on missing when heaven's in our laps. I don't wanna keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I know it's been far
Wow, sounded big. I got a question from Bread3K1. What mic was used? Are you talking about the vocals? If you're talking about vocals, it was this one right here. Maybe I can grab it and show it to you here. This is my Bach 241 tube condenser. This is kind of their version of the Telefunken ELAM 251, which is like the best mic, the best vocal mic of all time. Not this one, but the one that this one is sort of emulating. I'm holding this badge because I dropped this recently, and this badge comes off now. But there you go. This is a tube condenser, so it's got its own power supply with a screw-in cable. And if you open it up, I may or may not actually want to do this, but you can see the inside. Oh, it's because of the badge. Take the badge off. Let's focus on me again. Something's catching in there. I'm not going to open it up. I don't want to risk it. But it looks really cool. There's a big tube in there, and basically the difference between, you know, the technical difference between a tube mic and a non-tube mic is just the way that it amplifies the sound. Is it through a field effect transistor, FET, or is it through a tube? Transistors or tubes, solid state or tubes. And it's just different ways. It's not necessarily one's better than the other one, but I have also a FET condenser that I love, the Soundalux U195, and I love a lot of FET condensers, and I love a lot of dynamic mics. It's like different strokes for different folks. You know what I mean? Just ordered a Telefunken TF47. That's great. Good for you. TF47. Which one is that? Is that the let's see, Telefunken TF47. What is that one? Yeah, that's like the 47. Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, I haven't used these TF series microphones, but yeah, I love, you know, anything Telefunken is doing. When I lived in Nashville, I got to use several real ELAM 251s, and it's just I mean, it costs $18,000 for a reason. I mean, number one, they don't make it anymore. They do make actually a new version, but old ones, like vintage ones. Obviously, there's a finite number of them. Blackbird Audio in Nashville, which is a studio and also a rental house, had like 20 of them. It's like silly, the number of the sheer amount of gear is in Nashville, and but I rented it a couple times for projects that I was doing, and I just fell in love with that sound. The best sound I ever heard on a piano was two 251s on a piano at Ocean Way Studios in Nashville. My mentor Steve Beischer, the engineer, was like had a couple of those up. It just was like perfect sounding. It just sounded so good. There's a mid-range. It's kind of all about the mid-range with these, or the lack thereof. The way that they treat the mid-range is like so smooth. I'm pointing at this as if it's an ELAM 251, which of course it's not. But yeah, there's something. Now I think you can get a new one if you go on to like Telefunken USA. Let me just look up here. Now the mic that I'm using did not cost $18,000, but it also wasn't cheap. It was about $3 or $4 grand. I think $4 grand. Yeah, so you can buy a new Telefunken ELAM 251E, like from Sweetwater for, why did it take me to this Behringer? That's hilarious. For 10 grand. 10 11 grand. They make the new here's a matched pair class. Okay, well, yeah, so 20 grand for a pair. This is like the classic one. I'll just link this down below here. I'm just looking. That's like what the classic 251 looks like, but they're remaking them now, which is great, because assuming they've got the old specifications there. It's the same company. I'm sure it's changed hands ownership wise over the years, but I would expect that to be a very faithful recreation of the 251. Now, what's going to be different about it is, of course, the diaphragm that they use is this coveted like M7, which I don't know. I'm not up on the new. Let me just see if they say. Yeah, they have the CK12 capsule. Anyway, vintage ones, new ones, the 251, and it's now there are recreations, and then there are different. Like this to me is like a faithful recreation of a 251. Like for $4,000, you get like pretty damn close to it. And I wouldn't spend, that kind of money if it didn't sound just utterly spectacular, which this one does. This one probably has more low end than a real 251, which is fine, but you can't get too close to it. Like if I like my Sound Deluxe, I will sing like right up on it, like right here with the pop filter there. But this one I have to stand about 8 to 12 inches away, just because that's kind of the sweet spot for the proximity effect. You don't want it to be like too bassy. I'm gonna go put this back so I don't break it. Tender little shock mount there. Okay, we're in good shape. We're feeling good. Bread3K1 says, I've been using an Aston Origin for the past few years. Sounds good, but recently heard my voice through a friend's Telefunken AK-47, and I've never heard my voice sound so nice and rich. I was sold. Now, let me ask you this. Do you know the difference between the AK-47 and the TF-47? What's the difference? I don't know. That would be interesting. Maybe is the TF just the continuation of what was the AK-47? But yeah, I mean, it is something, isn't it? I mean, like, that was similar to my experience when I first heard this. You can't really see it, but the 1176, and also a Neve, a Neve preamp. I had the same reaction. I heard drums through Neve preamps, and I heard a voice through the 1176, and just heard anything through the 1176. And there are those times where you hear stuff where you're like, oh my God, I have to have one. That, like, it's like I would. Sometimes recording and stuff like feels like a fight, but it shouldn't always feel like that. And part of that is just the gear, right? It's like just getting the right gear. If I have somebody sing into this microphone over here, and I go through my Vintech, which is like a Neve, and then my 1176, and that person is a good singer, it's just gonna sound good. It just is. Like there's no question in my mind that it will sound good. So at that point, it's not a matter of like, oh, I can't get it to sound good. It's just a magic sort of combo. And, it's a sliding scale, or it's a logarithmic kind of scale. And there is a point of diminishing returns as far as like investment paid versus quality, upgrade, where at first when you buy, if you've got a cheap $150 vocal mic, and then you upgrade to something that's $1,000, that's a huge upgrade, but in order to get like 5% better, you might have to spend 5 times that, and so that's going to be up to you at that point, but anyway, that was a long-winded answer to, hey, what microphone do you use? But again, that's me. Hey, I like getting interrupted, and it's fun to talk about and nerd out over gear. So we're feeling great. So I was in the middle of this verse 2 here, and I'm just turning up this what I've got here on this half note delay, which is this H delay.
Don't have to try to track every lightning strike when heaven's in our laps.
Okay, I'm gonna mellow that out just a little, and then I am gonna put it on this last phrase here. I'm trying to decide whether I want to. I want to have it more felt than heard on the last phrase. Let's see.
Don't have to try to track every lightning strike when heaven's in our laps. I don't wanna keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we'd want to change. In the end, it's all been worth it. 'Cause we're here in our good old days. La 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 la, la 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 la. La 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 la, la la
Yes, thanks. Bread 3K1 says song sounds great. That's not me singing. The lead vocalist, my friend Jesse. I am on all these background vocals. You want a healthy dose of me? Let me just show you here. Here's a bunch of Aarons going. Here's Aaron. Hey, this is good. Did you hear that crazy whacked out sound? Sometimes auto-tune gets really weird and you gotta disable the plugin and re-enable it. Because I got that vocoder there too. Here's vocoder number 1. That's the Morphoder. And then we've got the new vocoder, the vocal synth, which is this one, which looks cool. So together. Oh yeah, come on. For an interface, I use my Avid HDIO 16 by 16. I got Pro Tools HD system. Do they still sell the Avid HDIO? I don't really know. I haven't bought like Pro Tools gear since 2013 when I bought all this stuff. Avid HDIO. Yeah. This one. And then I've got an HDX system. So I've got the cards, you know, the two HD2 system, so 2 HDX cards in my Mac Pro, which is in the closet over yonder. And I have some outboard preamps, 3 Vintech X73Is, 2 of which are going into this Chameleon Labs stereo VCA compressor, which I'll use for a piano or my synth. Or right now, that's what this shotgun mic vocal is going through one of those, into this compressor here. And then I've got over here, I've got my other X73i going through my 1176. So that's kind of my channel 1, channel 2, and 3 over here. So really, I've only got like 3 inputs because that's a line level. That unit is line level only, and it's like the D sub connection. So it's got like 8, like a multi-pin connector on the back of it. So you gotta get a multi-pin, like a D sub, like DB25 to 8 XLR. And so I've got my 8 inputs, really only 3 of them being used right now because that's all the preamps I have in the house right now. And then my outputs are going, 2 of them are coming my left right out, 1 and 2, to my monitor controller, which is here. This new old sound Mic1 or MC1. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong camera. That's this guy. Can you see him? If I move my computer. So it's just like a passive volume knob controller. So 3 in, 3 out. I keep looking at this camera, so I'm going to switch to this camera. And then 3 and 4 is going to a wireless in-ear transmitter and receiver, which I use for recording piano back there. And then 5 and 6 is going to you, fine folks, through the camera, and then going HDMI into this little guy down here, the Blackmagic Design A10 Mini, and then into OBS, and then to you, to your land. So I've got 3 cameras here set up. I got my main camera, I got my side cam here, then I've got my screen, which is just a multiple I can't talk. Multed output from my video card from my Mac Pro, which is again in the closet. So yeah. Anyway, back to Biznatch here. I liked that. I think on that verse 2. I think I liked that. I like being subtle with like sort of those intentional longer delays like that. I like putting them in there every now and then when you want to hear them.
Don't have to try to trap every lightning strike when heaven's in our laps. I don't wanna keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. Good old days. La 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 la, la 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 la. La 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 la, la 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 la
So that still needs to come up there because he goes way down low, and the band is kind of still, especially at the beginning there. So I may need to automate that like up quite a bit at the very top, and then sort of scaled down as the band scales down a little bit, that sort of thing. Let's just hear how that sounds.
want to keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now.
It all kind of needs to be loud.
Want to keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we want to change, but in the end it's all been worth it. 'Cause we're here in our good old days.
Dries says Jesse can sing. I agree. He's got a good voice. It's a powerful. It's kind of that trumpety, like from the gut type of voice. Perfect for a song like this, I think. So I think he shines on these kind of songs where he's just getting into it. So I think we're feeling good. We're in good shape here. We got to count off. That's fine.
I don't want to keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I've been a fool. I've been chasing wind. I've been all consumed with what's around the bend. I've been.
This is sort of crazy, but I sort of like the idea of just a little layer of that whole note delay in the verse, and like all the way through the verse here. So if I repeated that here.
I've been a fool. I've been chasing.
And of course it's not turned up here, so we're not going to hear it. Gotta turn it up.
I've been a fool. I've been chasing wind. I've been all consumed with what's around the bend. I've been so blind. When I'm moving mud and my shovel's dull from all the gold I've struck. I don't wanna keep on missing. I don't want to keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I've been a fool. I've been chasing wind. I've been all consumed with what's around the bend. I've been so blind. When I'm moving mud and my shovel's dull from all the gold I've struck. I don't wanna keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we'd want to change, but in the end it's all been worth it. 'Cause we're here in our good old days. I'm trying to find where all the grass is green, but every time I'm close, it's only painted weeds. As it turns out, don't have to try to track every lightning strike when heaven's in our laps. I don't wanna keep on missing little things along the way. I'm convinced that we are living right now in our good old days. I know it's been far from perfect. There are things we'd want to change. In the end, it's all been worth it. 'Cause we're here
you guys, we're sounding great. Dries just had the comment of the day, and you get a cookie, Dries, for this. Can I do a cookie? Can I do like an emoji? I can do an emoji here. Can I give you a cookie? What can I give you? I can give you a heart. I can give you a Google Play button. People. Okay, yeah, no. Here we go. We got to scroll through all these. Okay, I'm gonna look at food. This is important. Okay, this is like. I'm gonna give you a croissant. There we go, for Dries. Dries just said, sounds like the credits of a DreamWorks movie. Yes, Jesse will be thrilled to hear a comment like that. I should probably text him right now and tell him that. Let me text him. Sounds like the credits of a DreamWorks movie. Yeah, I agree. Like one of those, like, what's that movie about the alien who comes to Earth and then befriends the little girl? Anyway, he might be watching too. He watches sometimes. Comment on YouTube about good old days. Sounds like the credits of a DreamWorks movie. I just told him you said that. Yes, that's the idea of this song. There's no deeper, message than just that. We're here in our good old days. I mean, that's it right there. So if you got a movie about the Secret Life of Pets 3 or whatever, this is the credits song or the opening song maybe. We're here in our good old days. This is it right now, right? I mean, great. I think that could be perfect. E.T. Oh, does my croissant look like E.T.? Or E.T. We just watched E.T. The other night, 2 nights ago, my first time with my daughter. And I had some realizations watching that movie. Number one, that's a great movie. Like, that's just a great... Some movies feel really dated in like a poor filmmaking kind of way. Not that one. That's a well-made movie. Just cinematography, like beautiful images on the screen all the time. Obviously, like the special effects are a little bit cheesy. It's like when they're flying, you can tell, you can like see the cutouts of, them flying and things. But I mean, like E.T. himself was obviously like a practical effect. It was like, it was just a puppet. They never did any CGI with him. And I think those are much longer lasting than like the early CGI, like Star Wars, the Star Wars prequels. Watching those, it's just like, oh God, that's some bad CGI. But yeah, anyway, all that to say, E.T., great movie. But yes, he's all about that, submitting these to, we have a Killers cover, Human, and that's the idea with that one. It's like, hey, let's get that on Grey's Anatomy, or let's get that on, is that show even still going? Some of these TV shows, Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, there's so much content right now being created by these new giant like subscription sort of services, like online streaming services, and hey, they all need music, so I know that's a hot market right now to be in, is like making songs for movies, making songs for TV shows, stuff like that. And like the pretty good, because it's like a licensing deal for your song, and maybe you got a publishing company or whatever you're going through, and so obviously everybody kind of gets a piece of it. But as the main songwriter, if you're the main songwriter on it, you definitely get a piece, a good piece. So yeah, holds up. Dries says holds up better than the remake in regards to practical effects. Yeah, I agree. It's like similar with Jurassic Park, like the first one. They did some special effects, and you can almost like you can tell what's CGI and what's not. But the things that are the practically made, like dinosaurs, like the T-Rex, still looks like totally terrifying. Like it looks like a real because it was real, like it was there, and so just the way the light hits it, the way the people are reacting to it, yeah. But Supernatural, the TV series, yeah. It's interesting. I think the way you submit these songs is like the Croods. Yeah, that's I'm thinking of the one that Rihanna did all the music for. I think it's called Home. And she's got, yeah, like she had like a bunch of songs in it. Dancing on the Ceiling or something like that. Anyway, that's the one I'm thinking of. But yeah, it's like that feel good. It's just that feel good thing, right? But the way you submit is like you submit it to a there are like companies that are kind of in charge, of like DreamWorks hires or they have a division that's like the song finder people, or whatever. And there's all these middlemen middle companies to get through before, obviously, like I can't just email the people in charge of Supernatural, the TV series or whatever, but whatever division of that whoever makes that, then there's a division of that, and a division of that. And you can suggest, certain things or whatever. Like I could see this as a good feel-good thing for anyone, and it's good to give categories when because this is just business at this point, and so if you submit it and thinking like, hey, this could be good for X, Y, Z type of film. This is a feel-good, up-tempo track. It could work over a lot of different things, opening credits, closing credits, things like that. But yeah, Jesse's all about that. All about submitting to stuff, because that can really open other doors for you. Because a lot of that can be not only just like financially lucrative, but just from an exposure standpoint. People hear that, not only the deal that you get when you make, like let's say you get it in a movie or whatever, but then everyone just instantly going on Spotify and going, what song is that? If they like the song and they Shazam it, and then they're on Spotify, and then they're listening to it. And now that they're listening to that song, they're listening to your other songs. And so it's definitely like worth, even if the deal itself doesn't, whatever that does financially, it's a great doorway into further exposure and more stuff like that. Because actually now you can make an okay amount of money on Spotify if you get on the right. When it first came out, it was like no one was making money, but now it's so widespread that the aggregate, is starting to finally like turn over for people, and you can make some money on there if you get on a playlist that, for example, has 10 million subscribers or whatever. So if you get on one of Spotify's official, summer playlist or whatever, that's like the new radio station or whatever, where that's where everybody goes to listen, and your common listener isn't like they are listening to those playlists. They're letting, and Spotify actually does a good job of curating good playlists and kind of knowing based on your listening habits, oh, you'll like this. You listen to this, you'll like this, because that only, that's only better for them anyway. If they have a good app and good playlists and whatever, then they get more subscribers and everybody wins, kind of a thing. But if you get on one of those playlists, you can make an okay amount of money, decent amount of money. But yeah, that's a complex process. All of that business stuff, I steer clear from. I don't go there. I just like living right here. This is my little corner here, my corner of the world, my desk. I do the production. Once it flies out of my hands, it can go wherever it wants. And so maybe that's to a DreamWorks movie. This camera's crooked. Doesn't matter. But yeah, I like focusing on the production side. I get tired quick when, even now, just talking that much about Spotify and being in DreamWorks movies and things like that. I'm like, okay, that's enough. I don't want to because I just don't know. I don't know that whole world, and it's a little bit of a depressing world. It just seems like there's so much competition there, and you're never going to get ahead. But if I honestly, I say my version of a win when it comes to production is I did a good job with it, and I like how it sounds at the end. And I did the artist a faithful, like they're happy. Dries just said I'd Shazam the shit out of this. Yes, that's hilarious. Yeah, you know what I mean? I would too. If it was in The Croods or if it was in the movie Home, I'd be like, what's that? I mean, that's what I did with the Rihanna. It was like, this sounds like Rihanna. Is this Rihanna? Yeah, it's Rihanna. She did like the whole soundtrack for that one. Awesome. Phil Collins. We've joked about Phil Collins' Tarzan soundtrack, right? That honestly, is great. Great soundtrack. And yeah, it's like, if you can do something that feels good over a Tarzan soundtrack type of song, then hey, you got a hit on your hands. That's a major hit for him. So anyway, I think we're feeling good. I'm feeling good about this mix. I'm gonna keep going on it, make a few more little changes, do this and that and the other thing with it. But we're close. We're actually pretty close. But I'm gonna let you go for now on the stream. But thanks for joining me. And I will probably see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. Let me just check my cal. Let me just check my cal here. Let me just make sure I'm not doing anything. Nope, not doing anything. I'm actually starting to do some things outside of home, things that are legal. In the state of Washington, we can actually, when they did the stay-at-home order, they wrote into there that musicians and artists are actually considered essential workers. It says musicians and artists providing streaming services or other technology. And so technically what I'm doing right now is an essential service. So I could have somebody over and it would be legal, and everything. And going somewhere to work on music as a musician or an artist is legal as long as you take precautions and try to stay 6 feet apart and all of that jazz. So I actually have a couple projects coming up where I'm actually going other places. I'm going to be filming a music video for this guy for his other band this Friday, and then doing some other stuff next week, and starting to get out there. And then our stay-at-home order technically ends at the end of this month. So we've got 10, 11 more days, and we haven't heard anything about them extending it. So hopefully we'll be in phase 2 at the end of this month, which will be which basically the big difference is a lot of different businesses open, like dentists and barbers, and then also it's legal for 5 or more people outside your household to hang out. So basically what that means is you can have friends over, you can go over to your friend's house. I think it's like, hey, still wash your hands, still take precautions, when you're out in like public settings and things like that. Wear a mask when you're at the grocery store, but you can go see your friends. And that's huge for me because I miss all my friends. And so that'll be good, hopefully. Lord willing, end of this month, we will be hopefully we're just like a little bit out of the woods. I think we still need to be smart. We still need to take care of each other. But hopefully we're turning a corner on this whole craziness that the world is under right now. But I want to thank you for joining me. Hey, if you're not subscribed already, click subscribe, click the bell notification icon, then you'll get notified when I go live. But usually I go live Monday to Friday here at 1 p.m. And I didn't go yesterday, but when I do go, I'll typically let you know a little early, and you'll see that on my YouTube. But yes, thanks for joining me. Fun little conversation. Thanks for chiming in there in the chat, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow.